Good afternoon. This is Tom O'Hare, joined by Shelley Honeycutt from Pivotal College Years. We are happy to have you here today for our segment on College Talk. Our partner in crime, Kathleen Dion, is stuck in Florida in an internet blank or freeze, so she won't be joining us, or she may pop in before we're done. But Kathleen,
Yeah.
Kathleen's a great expert on career planning as well as college planning. So we will make sure that she's back again on our next broadcast next month. But there's a lot going on. I know Shelley and I have talked a little bit before this particular broadcast. And one of the things we wanted to sort of start with was what we're seeing with a recent article in the Higher Education Daily that talked about the fact that there is a decrease in applications as well as financial aid forms being submitted by seniors. And for us, that's a real concerning issue. Would you agree, Shelley?
I do, and good to see you, Tom. And a very important time of the year, and it's just getting more complicated, I think, as we watch the numbers of applications to college decrease. Colleges are pushing out early decision and early action deadlines at a historical level. I've never seen this happen before. And as well as, like you alluded to, families are not filing the FAFSA. There's still plenty of time, right, to file the FAFSA, but it should be top of mind at this time of the year and part of the process, seeing as it does open October 1st.
Yeah, I mean, what truly concerns me is the level of misinformation, misconceptions that I think paralyze people in general with regard to college applications, college searches, the selection process, the evaluation process, as well as applying for financial aid. And now with COVID and the pandemic and what we've all been reading, it's just even worse. So the notion of people unfreezing themselves, as I tell my students and families that call me, is that if you're planning to go to college next September, get on the ball, get working. Yeah, you may have missed the early action deadlines, but schools are looking for students.
They are, and they're pushing these early decision deadlines and early action deadlines. I have found in my private practice, a lot of the students are frozen, like you said. I like that term because that's really what it is, because it goes back to not being able to visit campus. Therefore, they feel like they can't pick their top choices. They wouldn't be exposed enough to be able to pick a school for early decision. They're unsure. They're double guessing themselves now. And so a little bit in the practice, we've been talking about even going exploratory major for some of these students so that they feel like they have the ability to be very flexible once they get on campus, and digging deeper with some of the virtual options that some of the schools are offering. And I have noticed that some of them are doing more departmental type virtual tours that are helping our students just investigate the department that they're applying into as well.
Yeah, I mean, schools, staff in not only the admissions and financial aid office, but like you said, the faculty, they're working, but they're also very much open to taking conversations. So in my practice, I'm trying to get families and students to set up one-on-one Zoom calls like we're doing in our world, so that they can sort of bypass the necessity or the worry about not being in touch with schools, have the Zoom calls, set up interviews, individuals are available to do it so they can start. I'm hopeful, and I'm not sure about yourself, but I'm hopeful that come spring, students will be able to get back on campuses and touch the grass and feel the buildings and look in the dorms to help them make decisions before the May deadline.
Right, Accepted Students Day is one of those rites of passages that you'll see in the February March timeframe, maybe even April. Let's hope not. Um, but that's their traditional way of getting back to campus and seeing if it's a good fit for them. I'm hoping that they're not stunted on that, that will end up being virtual, because I think that it might lead into extending the acceptance deadline from May 1st to June 1st once again, like what happened last year.
Yeah.
So it
Yeah,
could
I agree.
be.
I think that the deadline for deposit day will be May 1 at some of the firm schools, some of the elites, some of the, Ivies, but everybody else will be probably moving their deadlines to accommodate people's late decision making and, panic along the way.
I think you're right, but if the school's local enough, there's nothing wrong with getting in the car. I've had some families and just driving through, getting your phone and getting an app on it. Sometimes there's tours for the campuses on your phone, like a walkthrough tour. I was recently in Colorado Springs, and I got to tour Colorado College, which nobody was there, but it was beautiful. I got to get a sense of the campus. I actually met a professor, Christina, from the geology department, and she kind of at a distance told me about the campus,
Yeah.
and it was fantastic. I didn't get a sense of the culture, obviously, but it was just great to be on campus.
Yeah, that's an excellent point. That's a very, very good point. The drive-through shouldn't just be limited to looking at the Christmas lights during the holiday, like you go through a neighborhood and looking at all the wonderful lights. Yeah, if you are if you're within even an hour, you can set up a couple of visits, do a morning and an afternoon drive-by. And like you said, if there's somebody on the campus and stops you, roll down the window, put on the mask and have a conversation, because it could be anywhere from the president to someone in facilities, and they want to talk, they want to get them in. So yeah.
It was nice because Christina, the professor from geology, she had a whole box of what I call rocks, and she started explaining what she's teaching and what she does. It was fascinating. People were very friendly that I did encounter.
Yeah, and like you said, there are apps out there that schools are using that will give you the guided tour or give you somewhat of a tour, so that's cool. I think there are other organizations. I'm familiar with College Interactive, where they're trying to get more and more schools to text students to get that communication process going. And so it's really an important part of putting information out there. I know that you've done some excellent work with some YouTube programs on the Common App. So I think that I want to thank you for that. You're really taking it in stages and helping people along. Why don't you talk a little bit to some of the things you've been doing with that?
Well, on YouTube, and then we'll talk about the student portal, learning portal we have for pivotal college years. We're putting out small snippets of videos, several in a row, so that students that are behind on the Common App or don't know how to refine it to really show off their bright spot, you can watch these 5 to 10-minute videos on each section, and then learn more how a professional might coach you on how to fill this out, how to make sure you're maximizing all the pieces within the Common App. As you know, Tom, when you click buttons in the Common App, it's like Pandora's box. You open up all little sections that you can use to your advantage if you know what to put in them. And also this year, there's a few new sections, including an optional COVID essay of 250 words. So I just recently did a 1.5-minute video on ideas for college essays, what to write about, what not to write about, the types of styles that admissions are looking for, and really how do you tell your story versus some formal essay that's going to sound like everyone else.
Yeah, most definitely. It's got to differentiate the student. As I say to my students and the families I'm working with, is at the end, you want the reader to say, wow, I want to see that student, I want to meet that student, I want them on our campus. And that has to be conveyed by a good conversation or a good story that comes through in a conversational type. So yeah,
I,
those YouTube
to that,
programs. Hmm.
I'm sorry. To that point, that's where some of them are getting stuck, I think, too, with the writing piece because they already are overwhelmed with everything that they're doing online. And so I think the writing piece is stopping the application process. And I think sometimes we have to give these students permission to write and let them know that they don't have to be solving world. Let's
Right.
just tell a story about.
Yeah, most definitely. They're not here to cure the pandemic. They're here to talk about how they might be living through it, as well as how they want to be able to get additional learning once they're on a college campus. So there's a lot still going on with the Common Application. There's a lot still going on with getting students ready for applications and getting them into their deadline. I've had a surge of seniors in the last couple of weeks who are coming into my practice who have been paralyzed and are now sort of looking to release themselves from paralyzation and need some help from everything from running a list to start the search and how to get themselves raising their hands so that they're moving forward. I think that the other thing that I've been reading, and I'm very hopeful that colleges really find a new attention and appreciation for transfer students. So I want to
Right.
shift the gear a little bit and talk about the fact that students who are putting off their enrollment this year, moving forward till next year, will be a returning student applying as a fresh student if they haven't taken on any type of courses. But once they've enrolled, especially in a community college or even in college, and they've dropped, because of the COVID, they've dropped and are not enrolling now, they're going to be considered a transfer student. So there's a lot going on in that area.
Yeah, and the numbers are coming, saying overall they're 4% down with attending college, but for freshmen this year it's 16%. So it is substantial. Not this wouldn't pan out at the Ivy League or some of the top tier universities, but it will certainly uh, be true for the colleges just below tier one.
Yeah, so there is a lot of talk about January enrollment for students who are either paralyzed and started a gap year, were enrolled and are coming back and thinking about starting again in January with the hope that the COVID situation will be either stemmed or eliminated, or colleges will now be a little bit more proficient in how they're doing things. And I guess we both know that colleges doing things right is dependent upon how students act and behave on campus, because there's a lot of schools that had to adjust because students' behavior. But January enrollment, whether you're a transfer student or you're a freshman or a new student, is something for families really to look at.
I agree, and I did notice that on some of the applications too. If we can't take you for fall, would you consider spring? I also think for students from last year's cohort who started already but may not have gotten into their top school, um, transferring in on a what we call a backdoor Ivy move, right, might be pretty successful for next fall if you have a successful year this year. So let's say you applied to Cornell and you got waitlisted or you got declined and you went to your second best and you've done really well, but you still want to go to Cornell. Applying in as a transfer student might be a little easier
Mm-hmm.
for fall 2021. So that's also exciting as well.
Right, because when we talk about numbers, we talk about, and we talk about schools, we're talking about their numbers, which is new students coming in, students staying and continuing on, and any impacts to those two sets of numbers does allow other students to become prospective candidates for enrollment.
Right. And so you might have a better shot at a transfer in
Yeah.
fall. So if you've been considering it, it's something that you might want to think about doing. I think that that could give you just a little bit of percentage edge, and it might be something that makes get you into a dream school. So nothing wrong with that.
Yep, and that transfer may occur in January or it may occur next year for the September enrollment, which that transfer application begins, generally in April and May, maybe even sooner for those schools that are looking for students. And it can work vice versa. It can also work for the community college student who wants to transfer back up to their second or third tier school.
Right.
So, there's a lot of potential for movement, which I guess will cause frustration and anxiety. And, not to be shy for making a plug, but that's what we're here to try to do through either Pivotal College Years or our own practices, try to provide
Right.
some services and relief to students along the way.
I have to say, more than any other year, parents are reaching out and saying, we're so glad you're here, that we can depend on you because of all the moving pieces in this admissions year. They're grateful and thankful to have professional resources available to them and their students at such an odd time.
Yeah, and it can be just a plain telephone call with a easy response on our part that they're off and moving on. Sort of like the telemedicine, we're telecollege, teller advisors here. And I know that you and I and Kathleen will take phone calls at any time to try to help people along. If it turns into a more deeper dive discussion about what the needs are and what the pains are, then we're happy to try to provide those solutions. And I know a topic that Kathleen wanted to talk about that she's not here for, that we should still talk about, and that's what's coming up in December, the end of December, with regard to students who are in loan repayment.
Right.
And they are federal loans as well as their private loans, for the most part, were put on freeze because of the pandemic and COVID-19 and the administration. So they're looking at their loan records and they're seeing zero interest rates and they're seeing zero payments. And some of them may have been making payments on their federal loans, but lo and behold, they're going to start getting emails and mail from the Department of Education, because I know 2 of my students have already received them from the Department of Ed. And the point that Kathleen wanted to make, I believe, was that she's fearful that the loan servicing centers may not be as aggressive in getting the word out, and students may miss their January payment or miss renegotiating their monthly payment and end up delinquent.
Right, and that impacts credit scores, and then kind of has a domino effect from there. And Kathleen, she works quite a bit on the consolidation side as well as the private student loan side, and so she sees that a lot. And it's an important piece because, as you know, Tom, students that have 5 or more payments or 5 or more loans, which is easy to do for a student graduating from a 4-year degree or especially from a master's degree, the likelihood in normal time for them to miss a payment is about 1 in 5, right? So,
Yep.
yeah. So that can have an impact, a long-term impact on your credit score. So Kathleen was definitely concerned about that. And our loan service is going to be able to get the word out in time. So the best advice I could give, and I hope that you agree, is to log into, now it's called studentaid.gov,
Right.
but we used to we used to go through nslds.ed.gov. If you go to that, it's just going to bring you back to that site anyways now.
Right.
You'll be able to log in, see all your federal loans, and then be able to see who the loan servicers are. With your information, your social security number and things of that nature, you could actually make an account on the loan servicer website, or you could give them a call. And all of your loans should pop up and it should tell you what your payment date is.
Yeah, definitely, because everybody's calling it the FAFSA loan, or they're calling it the direct subsidized Stafford loan. They're giving it all kinds of different names, and that's fine. The sense of I've been paying, who have I been paying, is now back to almost like they're starting over fresh. So yes, they should go on studentaid.gov. They can use their FAFSA password and user ID if they're a relatively recent student. If not, they can sign in with their social security number, their date of birth, and like you said, recover their account to find out who the servicing center is. In the business, for those that may not be aware, the Department of Ed back in the 2008 became the lender, became the financer through the Treasury, and different servicing centers around the country, brick and mortar, became the servicers, the individuals doing the day-to-day blocking and tackling of keeping in touch with students and collecting payments. And those centers sometimes become unknown to the borrowers, either on purpose or not. And we need to be able to get track of those and find them. Their Department of Education is also reassigning loans to even add more confusion to the process. So if you were with servicer A, your loans may be now, during this pandemic, switched over to servicer C. So don't hide and wait. Get out there, find out where your loans are, what your current balance is, because as you know, we're working collectively to try to help individuals with loan refinancing, with income contingent payment plans, and trying to make sense of what's going on.
Right, and then for private student loans, you don't have a central database that you can log in.
Good point.
They are. So you need to collect your statements. And unfortunately, sometimes you're getting statements from the loan servicer as well as the lender. So you want to collect them all, make accounts with the loan servicers, log in, and make sure you know where all of your loans are so that you don't lose track of them and miss a payment. As well as parents that have taken Federal Parent Plus loans, just logging in under the federal system with the student's information, you will not see the Federal Parent Plus loan, so the parent has to log in with their information.
Good point. Yep, very good point. Yeah, they're treated separately and independently. They can be refinanced, but they're treated separately and independently when you're looking for them. I can't imagine that if you're a student or a current borrower and you've been paying your private loan, if you Google your email, put in the word student loan or private loan, or maybe the lender that comes to mind, their email is going to pop up from a year or two ago. So you'll find them, but don't wait. You can get moving. There's a lot of organizations and membership organizations that'll provide assistance, do some rate comparisons. It's very, very competitive right now. The rates are relatively low. They're down in the low threes. If you have good credit or a good credit cosigner, you can really take advantage of the low interest rates that are available right now. So it's something that every student loan borrower, adult working, young adult working, really should start getting involved. As we get to the closing of our time here, our 30 minutes through our program, what do you think, Shelley, is top of mind for you that you want to share that people should be concerned about this week or thinking about? Not to put you on the spot.
There's a lot to be thinking about this week. Yeah. So I would just say that I wanted to talk a little bit about colleges actually being test optional. 1,600 of them have come out and said they are test optional. That is true. Don't stress your student out trying to reschedule these tests because a lot of them are just not happening. I've had a student have SATs canceled 5 times on her. So it was stressing her out, and there's no need to keep doing this. The schools are actually test optional when they say that, and many may not go back, which I could see as being a good thing.
Yeah.
Additionally, October 1st, the FAFSA opened up. So reach out to your guidance counselor, reach out to us, take a look at pivotal college years. If you don't know how to fill out your financial aid, if you sign up for the student portal, there's line by line videos in there to help you do it, as well as expert advice.
Yeah, most definitely. Good points, because although one, and I keep using the word paralyzed or frozen, although that might be the sense, we want to keep moving forward with our process, especially if for a junior, seniors, there is time. If you haven't done your process yet, your application process, there's lots of time to move forward, take a deep breath, and take advantage of it. The text optional is something that definitely will be something to watch as we move forward. I too, like you, agree that many schools won't come back. They're retraining the admissions department now to be able to read documents, read applications based on GPA and the student's overall character. So it's like, you know, what's old is new again for some of us gray-haired people. You know, when my oldest daughter went to school, that was it. There was, you know, the thought of the SATs, but it was more about what was going on with her and the GPA. And I think students really need to, you know, come back to remember they're selling themselves, they're selling their value to colleges who might reward them with scholarships and some other money as they move forward. And Pivotal College Years, yep, they're our organization. If you Google Pivotal College Years and you take a look at our site and the online portal, you'll see that you can subscribe as a parent for free to the end of the year. We're working to try to continue to provide content about everything before, during, and after college. Shelley is one of the originators of it, so she is close to it. I'm one of the instructors. We're trying to put on webinars and workshops and different information as we move forward. So it's a great resource. If you work in a company and you are close to the HR department, or you're in the HR department and you are interested in sponsoring the program for your employees, we'd love to talk to you, as well as if you're in the financial management world. We want to try to help share this resource with more and more people. You can contact both of us. You can find us on LinkedIn. We're out there writing and producing information. So it's a value, and we want people to take advantage of it as an additional resource in addition to their school counselor and the other resources available. So we thank you for joining us this late afternoon today. We'll be back again on December 9th with another program, and hopefully the internet in Florida will have cleared up and Kathleen will be joining us.
Thank you, Tom, for hosting. Great job, and have a good night.
You too.